Hey, my name's James Wilkinson and welcome to my channel. Now in this video, I want to talk about why rents are rising at record rates and why they might continue to rise through 2023 and 2024. And it's not to do with inflation. So make sure you listen around till the end and what can be done about it and how that could benefit you as a property investor. Now this channel is all about my investment journey. We're on the way to 5,000 subscribers. We're trying our best to hit it in April. If you're not subscribed, if you could very quickly smash that subscribe button over there, hit the bell notification. And if you are subscribed, or if you just did subscribe, also smash that like button. Go on, I'll wait. Smash that like button over there. That really helps with the YouTube algorithm to get more eyeballs on the content. So, rents are rising still. And often people look at this and they're blaming it on inflation. Now, there's a few reasons why rents are rising, and that is partially to do with new interest rates. So obviously interest rates going up means the payments that the landlord needs to make have gone up, so they will pass that on to the tenant. However, one of the bigger concerns is that more landlords are retiring than ever before. And there are thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of landlords that are over 65 that are selling up their stock. And there's a number of reasons for that. But what that also means is because they're not in that market anymore, there's less rental stock in all areas. There's more people in these areas. And as it is a supply and demand issue, rents are rising at record rates. Now, very easy to bash on landlords. I know in the comments on this, where I've done a video with the title about rising rents, there are going to be some people that aren't interested in investing in property that are going to say, well, that's landlord's problem. Well, this video isn't actually about the landlord's problem, and this is actually positive for landlords, but there are ways around it. So why are landlords leaving? Well, there's a number of reasons. One reason is age, right? So buy-to-let properties, I think, started in around 70s, 80s and 90s. And so those landlords are now coming to retirement age. It wasn't such a big thing, buy-to-let properties. In fact, you didn't even used to have buy-to-let mortgages. And so they started to become more popular in the 90s. And so a lot of those people that got them back then, they're now coming to retirement age. And so they're selling off their portfolios. Now, that's good for first-time buyers and stuff like that. That's pushing the stock back. But it's not so good for renters because less stock is obviously a big issue. One other thing that's a big problem at the moment is the looming EPCs. And so let me explain a bit about that. I just did a video on that last week. If you're interested in knowing more about the new energy performance certificate rules, there's been a bit of an update in the last week, so do go and check out the older video on that. But basically the government are saying that you've got to get the energy performance certificate is a rating on how energy efficient any property is. You have them on rental properties now and when you sell a house. So if you look on Rightmove at a house, it will give it a grade from F, I think it starts, all the way up to A being the best. And so that is determined by how well insulated it is, whether it has gas or electric, whether it has solar power, has double glazing. All of these things are taken into consideration and you can get a grading. Now, most properties are D or worse. Most properties in the UK currently sit at a D rating or worse. Now, what the government are saying is, by 2028, if you want to rent your property out, if it's not at least a level C, then you won't be able to rent that property out. Now, there is a little bit of a caveat on that. And if you can demonstrate that you've spent at least £10,000 to improve the property with insulation and anything that you can do to get it as close to a level C as you can, then you will get an exemption certificate. But that still means you've got to spend a lot of properties. Imagine if you had 100 houses, or even if you had 10 houses, it's 100 grand you've got to spend on building these properties to a better standard. And so this is something that's coming in 2028. It was going to be coming in 2025. It's been pushed back a little bit. And that means that a lot of landlords have just said, you know what, not interested. I'm going to cash in now and retire. and live off the income from all the profits that I've generated over the years. So EPCs are a problem. Probably a bigger problem is this one, and this is Section 24. And so now, if you own a property in your personal name, you will get taxed on the turnover. That doesn't happen in a normal business. On a normal business, say for example, you own a restaurant or a service business, you get taxed on the profit. Property is different. You get taxed on the turnover. Now, that's a new rule that's been phasing in over the last few years. It's pretty much fully in now. And what that means is that you could be losing money if you own property in your personal name. Now, all these landlords that bought in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s, including myself, I've got properties in that vein, we bought in our personal name. That's just how it was done. And so that isn't tax efficient now. So what they're now looking to do is to sell that stock. It's another bunch of people selling their property stock. And that means that we as a landlord have an opportunity to buy it from them in a limited company. So if you buy it in a company, it's more tax efficient. Now, you might ask why they don't move it into a limited company, because they'll be paying stamp duty, corporation tax, all sorts of taxes. It's like they're going to get tax to move it across, so it doesn't really work for them. But for us, as a new investor, we can buy that from them. So what this means is all areas, we've got rising immigration, we're living longer in the UK as well. Our population is going to keep rising, and we're not building enough properties in the UK. Right now, we need to build 300,000 properties per year, and we only struggle to build 100,000. So every year we've got a shortfall of 200,000 properties. With more people coming into the country, people living longer, this means that rents are rising at the fastest ever rate. It's not good for anyone. Like, as an investor, my belief is that we want steady rises in our house prices and steady rises in our rent. That gives us more predictability. When the house prices and the rents go up at these really, really fast rates, ultimately it just causes carnage. You're going to end up with tenants that can't afford it, and then you're going to get defaults on your rent, and that's not a great situation to be in. So why is this a little bit beneficial? Well, obviously for a landlord, if the rents are rising, this is going to offer some protection from the higher interest rates that we're seeing. So that is a slight positive for landlords in this market. But what do you do as a landlord? Well, I look at each property on a case-by-case basis. So if I have a tenant that's been with me for a number of years, I haven't been rising those rents at above inflation or even near inflation. I've been casually raising those rent prices to people. Where I have been putting the price up is where it's empty. If someone moves out and it goes back onto the market, then I'll put it out at market rate, right? And obviously that will make me slightly more money. But I do look after the tenants I've got. That gives you loyalty. They're going to look after that property that little bit more if they know that they've got a good deal. And so I had some tenants that probably would have moved on, that we had a discussion, and I said, look, we'll keep your rent at the rent that you're paying now. And they've stuck with me for another 2 years since. And I really wanted to keep them because they were a very, very good tenant, looking after my property, no maintenance issues. In fact, sometimes there were some, and they did that all themselves. And so that's what's going on in the market. Rents are rising. What do you think on this? Do comment below. Do like the video. Do subscribe. Hit the bell. Do check out all the other content, including this video right here.